Yo, what's going on? I want to try to take time and put up scriptures about this video. I'm not trying to trust in my own name. None of that, man. Let's just move forward. You know, I want to share this with you. I did a video about a cousin of mine, you know, who was causing relatives in hell. With everything in my being, I regret doing that video. None of y'all could regret doing that video, or none of y'all could. I'm serious, man. None of y'all could relate more to that video than I can. Every day, I don't know why I think about it. Every day, I couldn't tell you if my life depended on it. Only the Most High knows. I want to share this with you. There was a person. There was my grandmother, not the one that I don't miss. I have a grandmother on my mother's side, and to be completely honest with you, when she died, I don't miss her. I don't miss her. She could say, "Hey, Ray, do you miss me?" No, I don't miss you, man. Honestly, I don't. Because I think about what you left for my mother and my uncle to live with. And they live with things that are beyond that. Their pride is just so great that there's nothing I can say to take away from it. There was I think about him every day. There was a assistant, when I think about this woman, I don't miss her. You know, but I had a grandmother. Her name was Bessie, my dad's mother. I think about it. I don't know why. Ray, why do you think about it? I don't know. I don't even know. But I think about her more than words could ever express. I do think about her. Because when I was younger, I gave her a hard time that I wish I never gave her. I wish I never gave it to her, but the bottom line is, I did. I did, man. I wish I never did. I was, you know, it's like kids, man, but I remember times where before I lived with her, she used to smile. She looked at me like happy to see me. And as time went on, as I continued to live with her, she would look at me like, and when she looked at me like this, I was like, I would just look at her, and she would intently look at me like, and I noticed it. I couldn't explain why I was aware of this. And I looked at her and I was like, "Hey, Grandma, do you have nothing to be happy about? Like, you look at me and I just see you just sad. Do you have nothing to be happy about?" And she just looked at me and was like, "No. No. No." And when I looked at her, she couldn't be more. I could look at her face and tell she was so sad. And I knew when I was a child, I was like, man, I'm the person that caused her this pain. And when I looked at her, I was like, man, I wish I didn't. But the only thing I got from her And I felt bad, man, because I wish with everything in my being that I made her happy, but no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't. I wish I could, but I couldn't. And when I think about her, I just be like, man, I just be like, man, she has no idea how much I wish I had awareness and insight when I was a child. But I didn't. And I would just look at her like, I couldn't explain it, but when I was younger, I was like, okay. I'm starting to understand that I'm the reason that you are just sad in the way you are. And she just would look at me. And I want to tell you this one thing. This is just before she died. It was cold outside. It was around 2090, late 2098, early 2099. I mean, gosh, late 2000. It was late 1998, and it was early 1999. I remember one day I would ring a doorbell. She was like, Raymond, just ta-ta-da. And I looked at her, and I opened the door, and I couldn't get her up. When I came home, I tried with everything in my being to get her. She couldn't get up. She couldn't get up if she wanted. My grandmother could not get off the ground if she wanted. When you see elders and they be like, y'all falling and I can't get up. She could not get up if she wanted to. And I fought with everything in my being to help her off the ground. I couldn't. If someone could have a gun at me like, yo, if you can't get your grandma off the ground, I'm going to blow your head off. That just meant I went down that very day. And so what I did was, I couldn't explain it. I went to a neighbor's house. And I said to him, hey, my grandmother she fell and she cannot get off the ground. And I could not lift her up. And that person came to my grandmother's house. She came to my grandmother's house. And when she came to my grandmother's house, this man, my fault, I say she, this man helped my grandmother off the ground and helped her into a chair. She could not get up if her life depended on it. My grandmother, she could not get off the ground if her life depended on it. And this man came and helped her to her feet. And time passed. My grandmother was dying. I was sad because I was always getting in trouble in school. 9 times out of 10, I didn't even know I was getting in trouble. Like, man, I couldn't tell you. Ray, why you get in trouble? What you do? I don't know. I don't even know. And I felt sad. Like, really. And so, time passed and my grandmother, her name was Bessie. Bessie was in the hospital. And before I moved in and I was living with her, she was just sad to look at me, just, hey, Grandma, do you have anything to smile about? No. And she just looked at me, and I couldn't explain it when I was a child. She was basically telling me, Ray, you're the reason for my pain. I wish I wasn't. With every fiber of my being, I truly wish I wasn't. And she just looked at me. I never forgot it. And how she looked at me, it's like I knew. I'm the burden to her existence. I was the reason her life didn't go well. I was the burden to her existence, and I wish I wasn't. Like, Raymond, why do you say this? Because when I looked at my grandmother, I knew I was the burden to her existence. And so time moved on. And I looked at my grandmother, when she was on her deathbed, like in the hospital. And I went to her, and I just knew she was going to view me however. But when my grandmother looked at me, when I came into the room, she was aware of my presence. She was just, like, she just rejoiced. I could see the look of rejoice on her face. I could see it, like, just the look of joy that came on her face, man. I just saw it, like, just the joy. And you know what she said about me? She said this. She said, "Do you know what he done for me?" And she was just happy, like, just rejoicing, like, "Do you know what he done for me? Do you know what Raymond done for me?" And her daughters were all around her. Like, "Do you know what Raymond done for me?" I could not get off the ground. And Raymond called someone to help me so I could get off the ground. I couldn't get off the ground. And she just was happy to see me. And when I saw it, I just saw, like, she was happy to see me. And I was just so happy because I wish I didn't cause her pain, but she was just so happy to see me. Like, and she told her daughters, like, "Raymond, call someone to help me get off the ground when no one could help me get off the ground." And when she did that, like, I was just like, "God, I'm thankful." And she was just happy to see me. And she looked at my mother. And when she looked at my mother, she looked at her like, my mother looked at her, and she looked at my mother like, I didn't understand it when I was younger, but I know it now. I know what you're going to do to him. You know your son fights with everything in him to do right. You know if it was in his power, you know that the only thing he would do is right. But you see that it's not within his power, and you see he cannot control it. And in turn, you will treat him like you don't know this fact at all. And when she looked at my mother, she just looked at her like, and then she looked at me and just, and I don't know why that meant more to me than words could ever say. I couldn't tell you if my life depended on it. Ray, you gotta tell. I couldn't. And so time passed. It was almost 20 years later. Whether in my body, Paul would say, whether in my body or out of my body, I don't know. Only God knows. My mother, my grandmother, no, I ain't gonna say my mother, my grandmother. Whether in my body or out of my body, I don't even know. Only God knows. I saw a soul of a woman. And she looked different, but she looked a lot like my grandmother, who I gave a hard time to. And when I saw her, I was like, I couldn't explain it, but I knew I was looking at my grandmother. And the soul of my grandmother, she was eating something. Like, just eating something, like a plate right here, like we went to a cookout and she was eating something. And I looked at my grandmother, and I saw she was eating something. And I said to my grandmother, "Hey, I saw her eating. Can I have some of what you eating?" I don't know why I said it. She looked at what she was eating, and she looked at me and said, Raymond, I can't let you have what I'm eating. And when she said it, I'm looking at what she was eating. I was like, yo, it's cool, man. I ain't tripping. Like, I ain't feeling no way. Like, I seriously didn't feel no way. I'm not telling you to persuade you. I'm genuinely telling y'all, I ain't feel no way. Like, I did not feel no way. And I looked at her and I said, and I looked at the soul of a woman that I recognized to be my grandmother, and I said to her this: I was not trying to be a burden to you. I intently looked at the soul of a woman that I recognized to be my grandmother, and I said to her, I was not trying to be a burden to you. And the soul that I recognized to be my grandmother looked at me intently and said, I know you weren't. I know you weren't. I know you weren't. You know, when I think of that experience, it just overwhelms me. Because I be in places where I'm like, yo, you, my grandmother, you have no idea. I wish I'd done different. I wish I made you happy. Looking at it now, my grandmother knew this, and so did the Most High. Like, Raymond, if it was in your power, the only thing you would do is right. And when I looked at the soul of my grandmother, I said to her, I was not trying to be a burden to you. She looked at me and said, I know you weren't. I know you weren't. I meant it. Like, if it was anything I could have said to my grandmother, it was, I was not trying to be a burden to you in your existence. And she looked at me and said, Ray, I know you weren't. I know you weren't. And that was only from the Most High, because he has no idea. You know, only he knows how much I wish I was not a burden to my grandmother. I did a video called Celebrities in Hell, and I wish I, not celebrities, yeah, that too. I did a video called Celebrities in Hell. I did a video called Relatives in Hell. This video, I call it Relatives of Heaven, because people don't know how much that encouraged me. I was serious. Like, I said to my grandmother, I was not trying to be a burden to you. And she intently looked at me and said, I know you weren't. I hope that means something to y'all, because more than words to say, it meant something to me. Y'all take care of yourself. You know, before I hang up, or before I stop this video, I say words like I'm a man of atonement. None of you want me to be a false prophet more than I want to be for myself. When the Most High gave me that, when I had that experience, it meant to me more than words could ever say. Because I knew the pain I caused my grandmother. And not for one moment would I sit here and say, hey, no, you should let this go. No, I know the pain I caused. And if I could take it back, I would in a split moment, but I just can't. The only difference is a lot of y'all that watch this video, after you hear these words, y'all be in places like, Ray, I wish I could take back the pain, but I can't. And y'all may not contact me. And that's cool. You don't got to. The point that I'm making is, when I say to y'all, I know where y'all come from, believe me, man, I do. I really do. Y'all take care of yourself.